Sure, he can. But atheism doesn't say this. But this just means that we individually all still retain the image of God, even after the fall of Adam into sin. The image of God was blotted out at the fall, but it was not erased. We are all born with a clear God-given conscience for reality. And so man still understands right and wrong no matter how many try to say otherwise. Please keep in mind that I never said, atheists cannot be moral, period. They can be if they wanted to, but they'd have no solid slam-dunk basis or foundation for doing so. I dare say that a relationship with the Lord is not just about being moral. It's about being saved. But even atheists react to this inherent knowledge of right and wrong, some even to the extent of living exemplary lives. But I tell you, Satan would do anything to corrupt and destroy one's conscience through much upbringings that are quite plain child abuse. Like Middle East radical Muslim countries, North Korea, they saying that our descendants from protoplasm worth nothing and so on. So an atheist could be moral and all if he wanted, but people wouldn't care if that was his decision. There's nothing he can do to make it seem intellectual. See, the point is, evolution discredits God, and anything like love, trust, caring, compassion, or any such thing. Just brute survival remains. The 2009 movie, Creation, admitted it where Darwin was talking to his daughter. Atheists, typically today's, try to profess being moral, which may seem good, but atheism, is virtually not a denomination about being moral. People like the Columbine shooter said it, communist dictators, Stalin, Kim Jong-il, Mao, racists, and so on. You know, the author and apologist C.S. Lewis put it this way, quote, "If a man sees another in danger, the first instinct is to rush to help. Altruism. But a second voice intervenes and says, no, don't endanger yourself, which is in keeping with self-preservation. But then a third voice comes into play and says, no, you ought to help. Where does that third voice come from? This is what is referred to as the oddness of life. Morality is what people do, but ethics describe what people ought to do. And yes, people know what they ought to do, but that doesn't mean that they always act according to that knowledge." End of quote. You know, Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are his workmanship created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath beforehand ordained that we should walk in them." We are created to glorify God and to do good works. The main difference between the atheist and the Christian is, in this sense, is that the atheist may act ethically for certain reasons, like avoiding jail, not wanting to disrupt social order, wanting it to look good to others, etc. But he has no ultimate reason for acting ethically because there is no ultimate moral authority that exists over each sphere of his life. Without this ultimate authority, each atheist defines morality on his own terms, although his morality is influenced by the remnants of the image of God within, along with the strictures and constraints of the culture and society in which he exists. On the other hand, I've got 4 fingers and a thumb. Just kidding. The Christian, on the other hand, acts morally out of the knowledge of the moral law given by God in his word, and a love for the lawgiver himself. In addition, that knowledge is continually increased and personalized by the indwelling Spirit of God, whose task it is to bring the believer into all truth. From within believers, he directs, guides, comforts, and influences us, as well as producing in us the fruit of the Spirit. To the atheist who is without the Spirit, God's truth is foolishness, because he is spiritually discerned, and his only fruit of morality is self-righteousness, not the righteousness of Christ. When confronted with a situation that demands both the believer and the atheist to make moral choices, a situation in which societal constraints are removed, the reaction of each will be vastly different. If a society deems it morally acceptable to kill unborn babies, for instance, atheism sees no reason to oppose the practice. An atheist's own moral law even tells him it's the compassionate thing to do in cases where the child is the result of rape or incest. The Christian, however, knows abortion is wrong, because his moral choices are built upon the moral lawgiver God, who has declared all human life sacred, because we were created in the image of God, and that every child is born with a purpose. The lawgiver has proclaimed, "Thou shalt not kill," and that's it. So can an atheist act ethically? Certainly, but he has no ultimate reason to do so, and no ultimate authority to look to in order to ensure his line is indeed straight and unbendable. P.S. Atheism most seemingly is just rejection of the God of the Bible, not religion. I hope this video was somewhat helpful, and I hope I can answer more of your questions some other time.